Okay, we are live on LinkedIn with a bit of a hiccup this morning, but still wonderful to be here. Hello, Linnea and Diana. Thanks for making it on time or around about the time, and for the connection not having come about this time as it normally does. Not to worry. It is always great to be going live on LinkedIn, and having some technical hiccups just adds to the excitement, doesn't it?
What would it be otherwise?
All right, let me start officially. Hello and welcome. My name is Sigrid Cast, and I am the creator of Global Business Networking Live Online. Now, this networking is designed to build trusted global visibility through meaningful networking, which is what we're going to do. People often think that networking is about just meeting new people. That's one part of it. In my experience, it goes much deeper. It is about building meaningful, trusted visibility and relationships. And that is what you'll experience if you are watching this live, if you're watching this as the replay, and of course for our participants in the room. And there are three ways that the trust is built in this particular way of networking. Firstly, the introductions of each person place that first grain of trust into the room. Secondly, our guided discussion is designed where each participant can really add their value, and people can begin to trust not only what you do, but how you think and the experience that you bring and the value that you contribute. And thirdly, of course, the visibility. We are live streaming this into LinkedIn. It will be able to be watched right now and later as a replay. So, with that, this experience is one part of my wider trust building visibility system. And those who experience this and you find that it is the right fit for you to build trusted global visibility for you and your business, we can have a chat what your next step would be. Now, with that, let me get started with our participants in the room with the introductions. Let's go to the introductions first. And let me just start with a person on the screen for me next to me. Linnea, are you ready to give us your introduction, please?
Kia ora, Sigrid. Kia ora, Diana. Hello, everyone. I'm Linnea Johnston, and I am based in New Zealand. I'm a LinkedIn and AI visibility specialist, and that means I help professionals to be discovered and surfaced by AI, both on LinkedIn and on AI itself. Last week, I had someone phone me up and say they wanted me to come and help with a presentation for them, and they had found me by putting a query into AI. I think a lot of people are doing searches like that these days, and so we, in our areas of expertise, need to be the people who are at the top of the list of those who are returned. So that's what I help others to do, to be found and surfaced by AI, generally through LinkedIn.
Thanks, Linnea. That's excellent. And yes, of course, AI will also be our topic today, which we come to shortly. Diana, you are ready to introduce yourself, please.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, and as you can see, I'm not in my normal space today. I'm traveling, so I'm over at the beautiful south coast of New South Wales and then heading down to Gippsland. I have Shine at Business and Shine at Agribusiness. I work with small family businesses all over Australia, obviously agricultural based or small rural, remote and regional businesses that need some help with managing their business, their finances, growing, troubleshooting, changing size, scope, scale, strategy, sequence, any of those sorts of things, just to have a look at how they can get better results from the hard work that they're doing.
Excellent. Thanks, Diana. And even though I've introduced the boardroom here in the networking as such, I just want to put a few more words about myself in here before we go into the next segment that we have at this particular networking. I am an online networking strategist, and the way that this particular networking has been designed is from my background in having networked all throughout my time in business. And that has given me the idea of doing it different these days. So I called it reimagined. And the whole idea here is to really go into building relationships that will naturally create trust and therefore support for each other, and expanding our businesses in various different ways. So, with that, what we do, this segment now, is the key to each participant being able to showcase more about themselves, how they work and how they think. And for today's session, I have chosen a topic to be discussed that has come up over, I think, the last week or so online. And it is that there have been tests done by various groups. One of the academic studies, for example, was done by Stanford University, but also other universities, that they were looking at, can AI itself identify the type of content that was written as either AI or human, very specifically. And it turns out that AI might be clever in some ways, but it's not clever in that way. It is not able to identify exactly who wrote a piece of content. Now, with us being on LinkedIn or putting out content in the written form or videos and so on, what happens if AI can't really tell what is human? How do you individually build human trust? Because it is the trust that we build that expands our business, not just the content that we put online. Who would like to jump in, of you two ladies here in the room today, to give us some insight on what you think there? AI is not at this point in time fully able to identify, oh yes, this was written by a person, a human. No, this was written by AI. I mean, there's much confusion that can happen from that. What do you think? How important is that? Have you come across that? Linnea, yes, yes, ready to jump in. Go ahead.
This is right up my street because I'm a professional writer and I spent my entire career as a writer in one form or another. And I don't see how AI can fully understand or fully judge whether or not something has been written by a human or by AI, because AI has been trained on human writing. And we're seeing that all over the world at the moment with companies buying up, or AI companies buying up huge quantities of rare and hard to find books so that they can scrape them and add them to their training. Yes, I know. And so it is so very clearly obvious to me that if the AI models are being trained on books that have been written by humans, and then they are spitting out content or words or any kind of written material that is based on what they have been trained on, then it quite obviously is going to be AI generated, look like it's AI generated, or in fact, it might be human generated, look like it's from AI. There is absolutely no way of telling, and you cannot own words. Some companies have tried that, of course, but in fact, when words are put together in combinations that you yourself it might be unique to you, then that's one thing. But if AI then does the same thing and writes the same thing, how is anybody else supposed to know who it is that's created this? I think this is the wrong thing. I know it's the right question for today, but I think it's the wrong thing to focus on. What I think we need to focus on is when we do use AI to write our content, we need to be putting in our own personality. Now, whether that we do that by stories, whether that we do that by words that we read really find interesting, or whether we just have a cadence that we use, a tone of voice that is unique to us that AI can't really easily regenerate or copy, then I do think that we are making progress. But to just say blanketly that AI and human writing are pretty much the same, I think is probably going to become more and more true as more and more of the books and content that have been written in the past are used by AI for training purposes. So it's a tricky one though, isn't it? When we're doing all of this ourselves and want to stand out as different.
I think that's going to be an ongoing topic for some
Mm.
time to come as to, should I write with AI? Should I edit it? If I do, should I not write with AI at all? And who actually, at what point, is going to check whether my writing was done by AI or not, and for what purpose? You see, it's all very well to say this piece was done by AI, but what was the purpose of it would be a question I would personally ask. Diana, did you want to jump in with something on your
Yeah,
if?
I think trust is waning anyway with what people find on the internet in written form. I think we're long past the time when we go to something on the internet and go, well, it must be true because it's on the internet. I think we're all being absolutely smashed with sales pitches and fear-based and guilt-based stuff, which I really dislike that as a style of marketing. But if you're not doing this, you're left in the wake, or you'll die of something, or whatever horrible things. They're all often fear-based, which then triggers people. So I think trust is waning there anyway. I believe it really depends on the topic or the context or the significance. If they're just inconsequential things that you want to look up or get a bit of guidance on, well, yeah, blah blah. But really, for trusted relationships about something important, so building your business and thereby providing for your family and your future and so on. So whether that's in the marketing or the writing or the LinkedIn, or whether it's in my field with more of the business management, it all comes together. They are significant and important and personal conversations. And there is more than enough scope now to personalize those conversations, whether it's Zoom or personal emails or face-to-face or a conversation. So I think it really depends on the context, but I don't believe AI can replace that personal touch. Obviously, I travel a bit with work because of the enormous nature of some of the very personal family businesses that I work with. And to those people, that is 110% of their whole life's work, and sometimes generational and varying degrees of value. But to them, that's a fairly high percentage. So that deserves the respect of a face-to-face, if not a personal contact, like in-person visit. So I do think that's a kind of a sliding scale answer probably, but I don't think people have a lot of trust in just the general, absolute avalanche of information and sales pitch and whatever that comes at us.
And
And
I
we
think,
get to know people. Sorry, Sig, I was just going to say, and if we know people, straight away whether content. I got an email from a client the other day who I know does not understand a lot of the finance stuff. We've dealt with them for over a decade. We've worked them along, and then I got this email with all this jargon saying, "Here's what I think you should do for my business." So straight away, that perhaps has not come from that person. So people get to know and trust us as well.
absolutely. And I think, first of all, of course, trust can't be built instantly. It does take time. So for me personally, the networking, being live is one part of starting that trust. As I said earlier, people can watch us, people can hear how we speak, what we say, so they get a bit of a feel for who we are. So when they see a post from you, Linnea, they will have a little bit of an idea. Is this a Linnea post? Yes, that's how she spoke when she was networking, for example. Diana, it's really important in your area of expertise to have that one-on-one personal, in-person connection and contact with people. And there are many businesses in that way that really need to continue with that. And therefore, the trust building will be will I say easier? That may not be quite the right way of saying it, but certainly it will have a better initial positioning that you can create that trust. What I'm curious about with my next question is if I come back to you, Linnea, and I say, on LinkedIn, which is your expertise area there, what would be one point you'd really highlight, emphasize for people to create trust, to start building that trust and to create trust on LinkedIn? What would be one thing, one point to really be aware of to build trust? I mean, people, put out videos and put out this, that, and the other, post 5 times a day and so on. I can't see that in itself being trust building. What's your one point?
1 point. You're only going to give me 1 point. So good. You and I are good friends. I'm sure you'll allow me to have more than one. The 1 point that I would make is that it's not about posting. It's not about publishing lots of content. What it is about building relationships, as Diana has already pointed out in her business. And we do that on LinkedIn by connecting with people and having conversations, or we connect with them and we help them in some way. We can engage on other people's content so that we can get more visibility for ourselves. But it all comes down to building those relationships. And no matter whether you use AI for your content or not, if you build relationships, one-on-one relationships with people, then that's the key to it. So I'm just going to leave it there because it really is the 1 point that I want people to realize is that LinkedIn is all about relationships. It's not about publishing. It's not about content. It is about building relationships that last over a long period of time.
That is a really great point. It resonates with me, of course, Linnea, because you can put out content time and time again. You can try and get hundreds of people to engage with your post. That still doesn't necessarily create the trust for those who see such a post with loads of comments on it to know, yes, this, I can trust this person. That's really not the key. I would want to then, as you say, engage with that person on a one-on-one level, whether that is in direct messaging or jumping onto a call with them to ask a few more questions. I think that is, to me, also the one way. And of course, that's what networking can offer when you jump into a room with other people to get to know them and build that trust. So relationships, it is for you. It is for you too, Diana, relationships. But if I was to say, what in your area of business, around the finances, particularly with family businesses, what is something that they need to really be aware of in the world we are now in order to be trusted? Where do they need to be trusted, and where do they need to trust each other businesses? What would you say to that?
So, and my answer for my business or my interaction with people just extends on from Linnea's, and it's the same with all the other small businesses that I work with. I'm a small family business and so are they. But it's about being genuine and authentic, showing care, concern, and respect for those people, getting to know a little bit about them that has nothing to do with you or what you're promoting, what you're selling or servicing, what you're providing. So a personalized point. Generally, when I meet people, whether it's at a conference that I speak at or whether it's in some other networking setting, it'll be a bit of a chit chat about their kid's soccer game or their mum's trip or their dog doing something or just something that's relevant. And generally, when I reconnect with people, I will try and pick up that and say, "How did you get on with that?" or something, just to indicate that I was listening to you. That's important. What you have to say is important, and it's not all about me selling you a thing. And I think that stands for, small family businesses. Obviously, there's different models for different sizes of business and different contexts. But I think when you're trying to build a personal relationship, it has to be not about you.
I love that. And it really, to me, highlights everything that both of you have shared already. It is about the relationship building component. In order to do business, people need to get to know you, like you, I mean, there are moments, there are certain situations and people perhaps where we feel, well, I feel, not everybody feels, other people have different ways of expressing this, but where I feel, yes, this is a person I want to know more about. And so there comes into it that you ask personal questions or share personal information, ask how they are, what's happening for them. And I know, Renee, you're doing that as well in your community, for example. So it's really creating this understanding of each other, getting to know each other, which builds the trust and ultimately you can do business with. Yes, Diana, you want to add in?
Add to that what we've just said is not in any way done in a manipulative way.
Mm,
It's done in an authentic way. So it's not, I'm doing this to draw you in, and
mm,
I don't really care how your kid's soccer went or whatever. It's exactly what you said. It's me getting to know them getting to know me, because when we work with people, we work with them quite closely and often for an extended period of time. So we have to have some, genuine connection and like working together. Otherwise, that's not, for me, very enjoyable or successful. So when we say that, and I know that you meant it in exactly the same way, but I just really wanted to stress that that is not done as part of a sales agenda. It is
mm,
done as a very genuine, authentic connection building that works on both sides to size up that person and think, are we going to be a good fit together, because we're going to build a nice relationship, working relationship, and possibly a friendship um, outside of that, with this ongoing collaboration.
mm. Absolutely. And I think it really is important that relationship means relationship, not sales. It's not about a sales relationship. It's about really getting to know each other. And I think we in this room today have been in business long enough that we know such a relationship once built usually lasts a very long time. And yes, sales may or may not come down the track. It may just be referrals. It may just be collaborations that offer the visibility opportunity for all of us in different ways. But it is that actual, true, authentic relationship building that is key. And wherever AI is going to stand on our side from now on in, it doesn't really matter. Ultimately, as a human, we still need to be human and look at the human factor, not easily done in the world where you're bombarded, where we're all bombarded with sales scenarios, often through AI, but we are certainly working on that. I think we've really highlighted some key points in this discussion here on that whole topic of if AI can't really tell what's a human or human content, I should expand that too. How do we build trust? Where we certainly are able to build trust by connecting genuinely with other people. We can do that in various ways. Linnea in knowing and working out how to use LinkedIn, for example. Diana by connecting with her potential clients, the people that she can really help one-on-one in visiting a whole range of different events and venues and people directly. And I do that with the networking in this particular format. It is about connecting, creating that relationship, and really on a personal level build on a relationship after we've connected. That's the summary how I see that, what's come out of our discussion today. Would you ladies like to have a final word or sentence on this? Go ahead, please.
I think we're only at the beginning of what we are going to see with AI. I think there's going to be a lot of change in the next 2 to 5 years. And so some of the concerns that we have around it now may just be solved, or they may evaporate, or there may be a way that AI changes the world in the same way that the internet did. We have yet to see. It may come faster than we think,
Mm.
but I do believe that we are only in the infancy of what AI is going to be able to do, and these kinds of concerns may just simply evaporate as AI develops.
I agree. Go ahead, Diana.
I think I agree. I don't think there will be an end point to AI when we've got to, okay, it's done and this is how it is. And I think that's just going to be a very changing space from here on. For me, our approach and that of, sort of other small businesses is don't try to be all things to all people. If there's an AI tool or a couple of them that work with your business, or with your model or your personality or your format or how it is that you present your work to the world, great. We're so bombarded with options that unless it is of extreme interest to you, pick a couple that work and just go with that. Find someone that's the expert in those couple of spaces to perhaps learn from, and don't try to be across everything. That's just, I don't believe, possible, but work out what fits for your style of working, your model. So obviously choosing to have nothing to do with any of it probably isn't a quality solution, but picking a couple of things that are safe, secure, and work within your format, for me, I think is a good model to keep it manageable and not be overwhelmed, not be at too much risk with what's going in and going out and so forth.
I think that's absolutely sums everything up that we have discussed on this particular topic today. AI is here to stay. How it will evolve and develop, we don't know. We just have to wait and see. We are certainly business women in business who are open to the changes. We take it on board and we work with this, and we make the best of it for ourselves and the people that we work with. I thank you all for that. And with that, we are going to retreat from this session from our LinkedIn visibility, and we'll see you again at another live networking session, Global Business Networking Live Online. And if you would like to be part of that next time, do make sure you connect with me and send me a direct message. Thank you.